Hey there, everyone, and welcome inside the Bahakel Sports Studio for the latest episode of Game On. I am Bahakel Sports Director Jeff Taylor. Now, as we talk high school sports, it is hard to believe that the fall season, when it comes to sports, is more than halfway through, and that means teams on the football field, volleyball courts, and soccer fields are starting to make that push for the postseason. On the gridiron, one team that is certainly starting to make its presence known is Independence High School and head coach DJ McFadden. Now, this past Friday night, the Patriots played host to Garinger. Everyone in Indy fired up for this one, including the band. This one would be all Patriots. Nearing the end of the first quarter and already up 37-0. The Patriots add 7 more. Canto Cabby gets the handoff, takes it to the house for the 6. The tough run, and the Patriots were off and rolling. Next possession for the Patriots, quarterback Justin Little steps up, airs it out. This one is going to find Colton Belcher, who lays out right there to make the nice grab in the end zone. The Patriots cruising this one 65-0. Watch out for the Patriots as the regular season starts to wind down. Next up, Providence made the trip to Mooresville to take on what might be one of the toughest teams in our area, and we'll show you why. I want you to check out the run that is coming up right here. Running back Eric Heel gets the handoff, and I'm just going to be quiet. No words can do this justice. This might be one of the best runs I've ever seen in football at any level. Mooresville also got it done on defense on Friday night. The pick six is going to come up right here. They're going to pitch the shutout and win this one 42-0 over the Providence Panthers. Mooresville is now a perfect 6-0 on the season and play host to South Airedale this coming Friday night. And finally, a team that is no stranger to the postseason or state championships, the Butler Bulldogs traveled to East Meck this past Friday night. All Bulldogs. Keyshawn Barino with the score right here before the half. Put Butler up 37-0. Then first possession for the Bulldogs in the second half. Zachary Lawrence is going to air it out to DeQuandre Currents, who makes a nice grab and then finishes it off with a tough run, dragging East Meck defenders with him, setting up Butler for the score. Zachary Lawrence is going to throw the screen pass to Jaden Williams, who is going to make his way into the end zone. Butler wins this one 58-0. The Butler Bulldogs now looking forward to finishing the regular season strong and getting that good seeding for the postseason. So another great Friday night of football filled with all kinds of action. And to help us break it down, we look to Darren Vaught. He is our Bahakel Sports play-by-play guy. Darren, how are you, my man?
Jeff, always a pleasure. Good to see you. I'm doing great. I'm hyped up, man. It's our Bahakel Sports games of the week are not going to miss.
Getting better and better,
right? Yep. We're coming down the stretch. They're all going to be good. So I'm amped up about that.
Yeah, let's talk about the one we had this past Friday night. It was the Battle of the Ridges, Porter Ridge and Marvin Ridge, and I was somewhat shocked by the outcome of that one. Porter Ridge really showed some strength and came away with that win. What did you take away from that matchup on Friday night?
Well, first off, it's just how good Porter Ridge is. The Pirates, man, they've got a team that does the things in the game of football that travel and bode well for a team's success, especially when it comes postseason time. Porter Ridge defends really well. They are incredible on special teams. They get takeaways. And with that triple option offense, they do enough offensively. I wouldn't really categorize their offense as special or that they don't necessarily do anything particularly great, but they do enough, and they use the run game effectively to keep games close until defense and special teams with a takeaway or two can deliver the knockout punch. But Marvin Ridge led 10-7 at halftime, which was interesting in this one because they were without their Shrine Bowl quarterback, Evan Metters. He got knocked out a couple of weeks ago in their game against Myers Park, which was their second loss of the season. So it was interesting because we were told prior to kick that Metters was going to play, or at least prior to our arrival at Marvin Ridge, that Metters was going to play. Then we saw him show up in street clothes. Not sure what happened. Metters was a scratch from the game, and that certainly affected the way that the Mavericks were going to play in that game and certainly what they could and would do offensively. But that's not to take anything away from Porter Ridge. The Pirates, I saw they snuck into the Observer's Sweet 16. Yep. And that's for the first time this season. They've only suffered the one loss. They've got Weddington this coming Friday, and they might give the Warriors some fits, a team that obviously we followed deep into last postseason in Weddington,
right,
that is looking to have a repeat stretch into the playoffs this year.
Yeah, Coach Capone does a great job out there at Weddington. So this coming Friday night, we have a great matchup. West Charlotte and Huff, two teams who stand at the top of the Queen City 3A, 4A conference. This one to me I think is going to be one of the best ball games ever. Give us your thoughts on the matchup for Friday night.
It'll be interesting for sure. When you talk about two teams who have positioned themselves really well entering this final stretch of the year, the Lions, right? I mean,
right.
Obviously under Sam Griner, their head coach, are having a season unlike any that they've had in recent memory. Huff, remember, we had their opening week loss against a very tough South Carolina opponent in Burns. They've not lost since. I mean, they've been on a tear as well, and that's a team that year in and year out, it's more of a program than a team, right? They've got dudes, they have a system, they play really well in that system, and they constantly deliver. It's going to be a good one. Like I said, we're not going to miss any of the weeks remaining. So I'm looking forward to it. This will be, I guess, the third time we've seen West Charlotte and the second time we've seen the Huskies of Huff. It should be a really, really tightly contested game.
I'll put you on the spot real quick. Hey, let's pick a winner. I've never done this before, but let's pick a winner. Who you think might come out on top here? I'm going to go with West Charlotte. I think Coach Griner and that team just having a magical season, so I'm going to go with that. What about you?
Yeah, I guess if you wanted to compare categories
right.
and award to one team or the other, what tips the scales for me is going to be sort of just like the it factor. West Charlotte's team just has a way of, and in their wins early in the season, remember, Jeff, they weren't like eye-popping wins. They were just sort of eking out wins, and it's kind of the way West Charlotte plays, but it also was more indicative of their overall mission and
right.
their greater goal. These guys just like have a want to
right.
that I don't know that most even really, really good teams with good records to this point in the season have.
Right.
So even if Huff manages to keep it close, I'm going to give the nod in a close game to West Charlotte just because they haven't lost yet, right?
Right.
They haven't proven that theory wrong yet. So
something magical.
I'm with you. I think the Lions edge that one out.
Yep, it's just something magical. Okay, so final question for you. I know we just talked West Charlotte Huff. I think we're at a point in the season where we can seriously start thinking about the postseason. Can you give me one or two teams that you think are really going to make some noise when we maybe start talking state playoffs?
Yeah, one we've mentioned is Weddington, and obviously, they returned a lot of players after a deep playoff run last season. I'll tell you what, though, it's going to get really interesting for Weddington. I mentioned they've got Porter Ridge this week. Then they've got Sun Valley, undefeated Sun Valley, the following week at home, to be followed with Cuthbertson, who Sun Valley just beat this past Friday 7-0. That's not to take them out of the equation, right? I mean, Cuthbertson's having a really good season, and one loss doesn't derail your playoff hopes. So that's a cluster of teams, to me, that all could break out and make a big impact. You talked about Independence as well.
Right.
Look, they loaded the front end of their schedule, right? And they got to 2-2, and I don't know that everybody did this, because if you know,
right.
But there were probably some onlookers who were like, man, I don't know, are the Patriots as good this year as they were last year?
I think they're for real.
They are for real. And I'm telling you, looking at their schedule, I think they're going to be up to 7-2 on the season prior to that last week. And they play at Butler, that great rivalry matchup. Butler's going to have a good record at that point, too. That one could be a Bahakel Sports Game of the Week selection. So maybe we'll be there. Either way, it'll be a great game.
I think we should push for that one. Hey, Darren, thanks for your time, man. Looking forward to hearing the call Friday night on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week between West Charlotte and Huff. Game kicks off at 7, and you can catch it live on BahakelSports.com. Darren, thanks for your time, man.
Anytime, Jeff. Appreciate you.
You got it. Hey, now let's take a quick look at a couple of conference standings, and we start with the Southwestern 4A Conference. Check it out. Butler and Independence, we mentioned them. They're at the top right now, 1-2. Charlotte Catholic and Rocky River coming there at 3-4. East Meck at number 5. Providence and Garinger on the back end of that. Queen City, 3A and 4A Conference. Huff and West Charlotte. Chambers starting to make some noise. Mallard Creek, and of course North Meck rounding out the top 5 there. Now for all your football highlights and scores, make sure you head over to BahakelSports.com every Friday night at 11 for the Blitz as the Bahakel Sports team brings you up to date on all the gridiron action. Coming up next, we'll take a look at some of the boys soccer and girls volleyball matchups that took place last week. Stick around as Game On rolls on.
Game On BahakelSports.com is brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina.
Hey everyone, welcome back inside the Bahakel Sports Studio. I am Bahakel Sports Director Jeff Taylor. Now from the gridiron on Friday nights, it is now time to switch gears and let's check in on some girls volleyball and boys soccer action from last week. And we start with the boys soccer action as we enter the goal zone. And we start with North Meck and Chambers, who battled it out on the soccer field. This one was all North Meck. The Vikings would get goals from Rafa Sanchez, Gio Macias, Christian Flores. All of them are seniors, and junior Ryan Cook. Now North Meck wins this one 4-0, pitching the shutout on the defensive side. North Meck now stands at 7-5 on the season and in the second spot in the Queen City 3A 4A conference, while Chambers sits at 4-6-1 on the season and in the 6th spot in the conference. Chambers hosts Mallard Creek tonight. North Meck is on the road to battle it out against West Charlotte. Next up in our goal zone, Cox Mill and Lake Norman. This one saw all the scoring in the first half. Lake Norman would go up 1-0 on that goal by junior Pete Robillard, but that would be all for them on the night. Cox Mill would score 2 goals after that and lead 2-1 at the half. This one is how it would finish. Cox Mill now stands at 8-3-1 on the season, while Lake Norman is 9-3-0. Lake Norman losing that one. We roll on in the goal zone. Cata taking on Monroe. The Cougars of Cata would dominate the first half, scoring 3 goals. 2 of them by senior Jason Frost, and senior Anthony Fellman would add the other. Cata led this one 3-0 at the break. In the second, freshman Kevin Lopez would score for Monroe, but that would be it for the Redhawks. Cata wins this one 3-1. Cata now 8-6-1 on the season, while Monroe stands at 3-8-1 and looking for some winning ways as the season rolls on. More soccer. This one, Garinger taking on Palisades. This one was all Garinger as they won this one 4-1. Garinger would score 2 early on and roll on from there. Garinger, believe it or not, is now 12-1-1 on the season. A great story there. They're one of the best teams in the area. They sit atop of the Southwestern 4A Conference and have a home game tomorrow against Rocky River. East Meck taking on Independence. Independence would get the scoring started with a goal in the first half. In the second, the Patriots would add 2 more goals, while East Meck would score 1. The Patriots of Independence win that one 3-1. The Patriots goal coming from Rousset, Chase Kim, and Aaron Zhu. East Meck now 6-2 on the season. Meanwhile, Parkwood and Piedmont, the final game for you on the night here. The Panthers of Piedmont had the offense going early this one. They would score 3 in the first and add 2 in the second to win this one 5-1. Piedmont looking at finishing the regular season strong. They are now 10-2 on the season with a 5-1 conference record, and that's good enough for the top spot in the Rocky River Conference. Meanwhile, from the soccer fields to the volleyball courts, it is now the rally zone. And we check in on the girls volleyball action from last week. Our first matchup, Palisades, who traveled to Myers Park. 2 teams that are in the top of the South Meck 4A Conference. The Lady Mustangs came into this one with an 11-6 record, while the Lady Pumas brought an 11-3 record into this one. The matchup, Myers Park, was too tough. They will win this one in 3 straight sets to stay atop of the conference standings. Palisades finds itself in the 3 spot. They're not out of the playoffs yet. We'll see what happens there. But Palisades losing to Myers Park 3-0. And on we go. Last Tuesday, Harding took on North Meck. The Lady Vikings of North Meck brought a 9-6 record into this one, while Harding was looking for their first win of the season. It's been tough for them. Unfortunately for Harding, that win still eludes them. North Meck would win this one by dominating in all 3 sets. The Lady Vikings of North Meck have had a strong offense all season long, averaging almost 23 points a game. North Meck sits in the 3rd spot currently in the Queen City 3A 4A Conference. Harding sits in the 7th spot in the conference. Harding doing their best to stay in this one, but it just wouldn't work out. Long volleys left and right, but North Meck ends up beating Harding on this one in 3 sets to nothing. On we go. The top team in the Queen City 3A 4A Conference, Huff Huskies, who are perfect on the season in conference play, made the trip to Chambers for their matchup. Chambers came in 5th in the conference. When all was said and done, the Lady Huskies of Huff came out with a sweep in 3 sets. Chambers never really got the offense going, never reaching more than 18 points in any set. They only scored 4 in the first. With the win, the Huff Huskies stayed undefeated in the conference. They improved to 19-1 on the season, while Chambers dropped to 7-9. Rough season for the ladies of Huff High School. And on we go, our next stop, Monroe taking on Piedmont. The Lady Redhawks of Monroe looking for something positive in a tough season so far. Their record heading into the matchup was 1-11, while Piedmont brought a 10-3 record and second in the Rocky River 3A 4A Conference. The ladies of Piedmont just too strong for Monroe to defeat. Piedmont won this matchup 3 sets to nothing. Since this matchup, however, Piedmont has won 2 more matches and now set at 11-4 and 8-1 in conference play. On we go, Mallard Creek playing host to Hopewell. Mallard Creek came into this one with a 9-8 record, while the ladies of Hopewell stood at 500 with a 7-7 record. In this one, the teams would split the first 2 sets, but then it was all Lady Mavericks as Mallard Creek wins the final 2 sets to take this match 3-1. Mallard Creek now stands at 12-9 overall and 8-1 in the Queen City 3A 4A Conference. Hopewell is now 7-8 on the season and 4th in the conference. And next up, we have Cox Mill versus West Cabarrus. The Lady Wolverines looking for something positive as their tough season starts to come to an end. They entered this match with a 3-8 record, while the Lady Chargers of Cox Mill stood at 12-2 and brought a 4-game winning streak into this one. This one would go to the favorites. Cox Mill got out of the gate quick, winning the first set 25-20 and then cruised from there to win the next 2 sets. The Lady Chargers with a sweep over West Cabarrus, 3-0. Next up for Cox Mill is a non-conference matchup on Wednesday night, while West Cabarrus travels to A.L. Brown tomorrow night. That all gets started at 6:30. West Cabarrus will be looking for a win. Cox Mill continuing their winning ways. And our final set of highlights for you is a matchup between Providence and Butler. The Lady Panthers of Providence brought a 4-12 record into this matchup, while the Lady Bulldogs, who are rolling this season, brought a 14-1 record into this one. Butler in the top spot in the Southwestern 4A Conference. Butler got off to a good start in this matchup, winning their first 2 sets, but the Lady Panthers would not go away in this one. They come back to win the 3rd set, but in the end, Butler gets the win 3-1. Next up for the Lady Bulldogs of Butler is an away conference matchup tomorrow night against Rocky River, while the Lady Panthers host Independence in conference play. Hey, stick around. We still have one more segment for you on Game On. Coming up next, we'll introduce you to a young lady who will take her volleyball skills to the Cornhusker Nation to continue her career on the court. Stay tuned. More Game On coming at you next.
Game On BahakelSports.com is brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Game On, where each Monday we bring you the best highlights from the week before and we get you set for the week ahead. But we also like to bring you the stories that make high school sports so special. Tonight, Bahakel Sports anchor John Treach introduces us to a young lady from Cox Mill High School who's one of the best volleyball players in our area and will be taking her talents to Cornhusker Nation.
The entire sport is bracing for impact. Here comes Hunter.
The adrenaline just rushes in, and, nothing's stopping me in that moment.
One of the most coveted recruits in North Carolina history is a junior at Cox Mill High School.
Strive for greatness any way I can. So, if opportunities are given to me, I'm going to jump head first at them.
For the nation's number 2 ranked opposite hitter, being light on her feet with immaculate rhythm was the plan since age 2. But as a competitive dancer,
she would, dance in front of thousands of people. And it goes to show, how hard she really works. And she just goes for what she wants.
The meteoric rise in mega talent earned Hunter a scholarship to Nebraska. The 5-time national champion, rapidly followed culture-setting program has transformed the standard for women's athletics.
I have the opportunity to be a part of this amazing program with these amazing people, and sometimes, you know, like, it never really hits you until you're there.
Ryan was there when Nebraska sold out Memorial Stadium for a match in August. 92,000 people broke the world record for attendance at a women's sporting event. Her coach and sister so proud.
It was heartwarming for me. I cried at least like 3 times just to see like the support.
Before she immerses in the sea of red, Ryan sees championship purpose with her people.
She just pushes you to do better. She just such an inspiring figure, not even as a teammate, but as a friend. She just has that presence on the court all the time.
She may only be 16 years old and serious about volleyball for 3 years. But make no mistake, Hunter has a license to kill.
And I'm just kind of hoping the microphone was there with that. John Treach, great story. Hey, stick around. We have one more segment of Game On. Coming up next, we'll tell you about all the action you can catch next week on BahakelSports.com. We'll be right back. Hey everyone, welcome back to Game On. As we wrap it up, just a quick reminder that this week you can catch some exciting high school sports action on BahakelSports.com as we live stream a couple events for you. The first, tomorrow night, as the Lady Knights of Audrey Kell take on Myers Park in volleyball. And then Friday night, our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week might be one of the best we've had all season long as West Charlotte travels to Huff to take on the Huskies. Both teams are top of the conference, so you can bet both will come in looking to play their best game of the season and claim the top spot. Plus, this game will be huge in terms of postseason seeding. So that is it. Make sure you stay with BahakelSports.com on Friday nights at 11 for the Blitz. We bring you the best highlights, all the scores from Friday night's matchup, and a recap of our game of the week. That is it for this week's Game On. Make sure you stick with Bahakel Sports throughout the week for all your high school sports coverage. Have a great week, and we'll see you Friday night on the Blitz.